Sony finally had its big PlayStation showcase, and there was a lot of hype going into this showcase. Many people were expecting some crazy announcements, but the showcase has come and gone, and it was kind of a mixed bag. On some cases it was good, on some cases it was not, but I'm here to go through every single one of these games that they announced because I actually think there's some surprisingly good titles hidden in this, and of course I want to talk about the heavy hitters. I'm going to go through every single one of the announcements and give my thoughts on what I think about them. And you too can give your thoughts down below in the comments. What did you think about the conference? What did you hate and what did you like? And what were you most surprised by? And of course, share and like the video, and welcome to Stay Tuned on Gaming. I'm your host Damon, where I get to ramble about video games for as long as I want. And today I'm going to be rambling about the PlayStation 2023 showcase. Let's get into it. Now, the first game they showed off was Fair Game. This is being done by Canadian studio Haven, which is co-founded by Assassin's Creed creator Jay Raymond. This studio was actually acquired last summer by Sony. It looks cool weapons, you robbing people. Yeah, didn't really show much of gameplay in it. And it's kind of the theme for the rest of the showcase. Now, they do describe this game as a fresh and modern take on the heist genre, which kind of reminds me of Payback. And this is what they basically said about the game. In a nutshell, this is a thrilling competitive heist game where you join an underground movement to rob the ultra-rich and rebalance the scales. Fair Game will give you the opportunity to break the rules as a modern-day Robin Hood or a thrill seeker or just someone who wants to collect cool loot. Trespass in forbidden locations around the world, fill your pockets like a kid in a candy store, and unravel the nefarious plans of the untouchable billionaires. This will be coming to PS5 and PC, but there's been no release date just yet. Looks fun, looks interesting, but yeah, pretty weird way to open up your conference with really not much to show. Next up was an announcement I'm super excited by. Helldivers 2. Oh my gosh, Super Earth is back, everyone. I'm actually super excited for this title. The original Helldivers came out in 2015 for the PS3, PS4, and PS Vita, and I super loved it. This like isometric shooter, which you can play with friends and you can even kill your own friends, was really fun as you take on a big alien threat. I loved it, and it'll be coming out next year on the PS5 and PC. But unlike the original game, which was like a top-down shooter, this one appears to be a third-person shooter. Now, it takes a lot of inspiration from Starship Troopers, and this is going to become the first Sony game to be published on PC later in the same year. So they're basically going to come out at the same time. I'm super excited. If you haven't played the original Helldivers, I do recommend giving it a look because it's actually a pretty fun game. Next up, we have an EA title called Immortals of Avam, whatever this thing is. Let's show us some cool wizard play or first-person wizard combat. It looks interesting, but the trailer made no sense. There's some cool gameplay stuff I liked about it, and you know, instead of a gun, you have your hand and some other blob stuff. It looks quite interesting. Like it doesn't look like a graphics killer, but it does look like it could be like a sleeper hit. Well, this will be coming out actually quite soon on July 20th this year. So hey, we could get into Immortals of Avam. It's a very bad name. Next up, Ghost Runner 2. Yes, I am hyped for this. I love the original Ghost Runner. I've never finished it, but the game always stuck in the back of my head with its cyberpunk setting and you just jumping around, platforming, trying to kill everybody in one hit because you can die in one hit. It's fantastic, and this new one looks like you can also have a motorcycle and driving segments, so I cannot wait. It's coming out later this year. Next up, a game which came out of nowhere and I'm thinking could be the next big hit, Phantom Blade Zero. This game is literally all over the place. The trailer shows us some really cool gameplay stuff, a really cool setting. It's a combination of Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima, and I was hyped watching this. It's being made by S Games, who are currently working on the 2D action RPG Phantom Blade Executionist. Now, they only really worked on mobile games, but this game looks amazing. Flashy cinematics, flashy attacks, crazy freaking enemy designs, all looks fantastic. I mean, it made me think of Asua's Wrath, but hopefully much more for you to do in the game. Now, this is the story of Phantom Blade Zero. In Phantom Blade Zero, you play as Soul, an elite assassin serving an elusive but powerful organization known simply as the Order. Soul is framed for the murder of the Order's patriarchy, gravely injured in the ensuing manhunt, and though his life is saved by a majestic healer, the makeshift cure will only last for 66 days. He must fight against powerful enemies and immune monstrosities, all while seeking out the mastermind behind it all before his time runs out. It looks fantastic, and I could say, could be a really big hit. Now, no release date was given, but when this game does come out, I think it could be really cool. I mean, Wulan came out much earlier this year, and people were hoping this was going to be like Ghost of Tsushima 2, but I think what we got could be really interesting. You love Journey? Well, you're probably going to love Sword of the Sea. And that's because the game comes from Giant Squid Games, the studio behind the Pathless, as well as Abzu and Journey. This looks really, really cool, and that's because it looks just like Journey. It looks like Journey, but it's like a skateboard setting, because you can skateboard with the sword. And that's because Matt Nava, the artist who worked on Journey, is basically working on this game. I can't wait to see when this game does come out, because there's no release date just yet, but I'm super excited. Next up, you love psychological puzzles? Well, then this is going to be a fan for you. The Talos Principle 2 was announced, and I can say I'm kind of excited for this. Now, I've never played the original Talos Principle, but I've always been intrigued to play that game. It just looks something I've never played before. I know it's a big puzzler, and the Talos Principle 2 looks like it's going to be doing exactly what the number 1 did, making you question your existence, this time you being in robot AI. And craziness, it's coming out later this year. We don't have an exact date, but 2023 is the date it's coming out. Next up, from the creators of the hit indie game Gris comes Never. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be very, very sad. It's coming out in 2024. And this really cool 2D fighting monsters types of stuff with a dog dying. I have to say, it could be another incredible journey. Next up, Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean. I've never played a Cat Quest game before, but I've heard it's really, really cool. And it's actually really, really good. So hey, never played it, but it's coming out in 2024. It looked fine, nothing like this. And if you love Splatoon, do you probably love to see a carbon copy of it? That's what Square Enix wants to do by making its own Splatoon shooter called Foam Stars. And it doesn't look good. There's not much information on this game, or how long this game will even stick around for, as we've seen many games get shut down over the past couple of months. But Foam Stars just looks like probably the most boring Splatoon clone we have ever seen. We got another trailer for Plucky Squire. This game is going to be a mix of 2D and 3D visuals and a wonderful little action and fantasy adventure game. And I have to say, it looks really, really fun. It's only coming out sometime later this year, no full release date, but it's coming to PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC, so yeah. Teardown, which is a game available on PC, will be making its way to PS5 later this year, where you get to do this destruction puzzler. Never played it, but it looks interesting. Then we finally had some heavy hitters. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Remake. My god, this was the big announcement. Now again, this has been teased for so long over the past couple of months, but we finally now have it confirmed with a little cool short CG trailer that showed a bunch of animals eating each other, and of course, I think it was a crocodile eating a snake. It'll be coming later to PS5, but no release date, and again, we're probably going to wait a long time. Konami describes this as a faithful remake. A new generation of players and loyal fans alike can experience the origin of the famed Big Boss and witness how his legend was forced in the crucible of Operation Snake Eater. There's just one big question. We don't know who's making this title. They sent even out a little bit of a brief message on Twitter, and all they said was, by the development team. What development team? Who's making this title? We don't know. Now, they have said faithful recreation of the original story and game design while evolving the gameplay with stunning visuals and a seamless user experience. And all I can say is, I need to know who's making this game, because Konami has had many times to have a silver platter and just being able to serve you crap. And we've seen that. Now, this is not the first time Konami has tried to get this Metal Gear thing off going. They've done it many times and have failed every single time. But they've also announced that they will be bringing back the older Metal Gear Solid games to celebrate its 35th anniversary by re-releasing the original Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, which will be coming out later this year in autumn 2023. I think that's a fantastic choice to do. These games are very old, and it's very hard to find some of them nowadays. So getting them on one console, which apparently seems to be on PS5 at the moment, is the perfect choice to do it. These games have been re-released over the years. I believe there's a couple on PS3. They've done PS3 releases and of course Xbox releases. I mean, I think Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 has made its way to the PS Vita even in its remastered collection. I've heard a lot of people love that versions of Metal Gear Solid remakes. So I'm pretty excited for this. A lot of people wanted this to come out, but again, a lot of people are scared because we have no idea who's making this game. And Konami likes to screw up. This is their second announcement of remakes. Of course, they are having the Silent Hill one coming out sometime later this year. I think it's later this year or next year. That's been done by a Blooper team. So let's hope this is good, because I don't want it to suck. I don't want it to suck. It just really be good. But Metal Gear Solid Triangle, I'm going to say Beta Snake Eater Remake, is coming out. Next up was a game I can't pronounce, Towers of Azkaban, whatever it is. It's basically looking like a survival game, and I have to say, this looks really fun. Gorgeous visuals, base building, underwater exploration, big giant creatures, and of course a glider that looks like Zelda, because that's what everyone copies nowadays. Yeah, it looks good. Don't know when it's coming out. We saw another trailer for Final Fantasy 16 by Square Enix. Of course, that's coming out on June 23rd. Not much to say, yeah, just another trailer for its story. I might as well just not look at it. It's coming out next month. Of course, then we had Remedy showing off Alan Wake 2 for the first time. We get to saw some real, like, somewhat gameplay of Alan Wake 2. Remedy, of course, is going to be making this game out, and it's coming out on October 17th. They've announced there will also be a co-lead protagonist and a second playable character called Saga Anderson. The first thing is there's much more interesting news that came out after the conference, after the showcase, where they talked about the game will not be coming out on a disc whatsoever. It'll be digital only. That's right. This could be starting the next wave of AAA games to come out digitally only. And we could be seeing Remedy do it for the first time, and many people following if this game is very successful. I do hope the game does do well. I've not played the original Alan Wake games, but I do love Control, and Control did even have this spin-off DLC that worked into Alan Wake, so who knows what they're going to do with it. The trailer looks good, and the game again looks good. We had some trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage dropping. It's coming out on October 12th. Yeah, it looks like Assassin's Creed. He is hoping they do well because Ubisoft is losing a bunch of money. Next up from developers of behind Night in the Woods, which is being developed by, which is creating this new game called Reverend Hill. Now, I think this is like a spiritual successor to Night in the Woods, so I can't really say, but it's coming to PS5, PS4 in the future. Didn't really show much, just a cat running. He's named Twigs and he wants to become a witch's familiar. That's it. That's all we really know about it. Then we had Grand Fantasy Relink. This is a new entry in the Grand Blue Fantasy series. Relink's coming out winter 2023. It's going to feature co-op, and it's being published by Psy Games. I don't really know much about the Grand Blue Fantasy games whatsoever. I do know there's that fighter that Systemworks worked on, I think. I don't really know anything about the series whatsoever. It does look like a fun JRPG, I have to say. We had another trailer shown in Street Fighter 6. Of course, this game is coming out on June 2nd, so very, very close. And it just showed off more of its world tour. And yeah, again, just another short trailer. Ultros looks like what happens if you're mixing drugs together with some alcohol. Is a very trippy, colorful action platformer from a 1960s concert. It comes out in 2024. Yeah, I can't say about this. Capcom returned, and it showed off Dragon's Dogma 2. Boy, was this a big crazy announcement. A lot of people were super hyped for this. Finally get to see Dragon's Dogma, and it looks fantastic. Now, I haven't played the original yet, but I've had many people tell me it is one of the best RPGs out there, and its sequel looks really, really good. No release date, but again, this game looks like it's far from being done. So I'm super excited for this. It's going to begin a new cycle, and they've confirmed it's going to be using the RE engine, which basically almost every Capcom game uses nowadays. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 was also announced. This is the VR sequel to the spin-off of the original Help Wanted, coming out late 2023. Don't know when that's going to happen. We had a Resident Evil 4 VR mode announced. It showed off the beginning section of Resident Evil 4, but again, not a lot of information on this. We don't know if it's the full game going to be in VR or just a short snippet. But the Resident Evil VR modes are actually VR games, or ones that can be played in VR, are actually quite popular. Resident Evil 7 and 8 both could be played in VR from start to finish, and a lot of people really like playing them in VR. I won't buy a PSVR 2 for this, but hey, Arizona Sunshine 2, which is an original, the original game came out, was actually quite a standout amongst people that jumped into VR for the first time. So getting a new sequel that's bigger and better makes sense. It's coming out spring for PSVR 2 and PC. Again, never played it, so I can't really talk much about it. Crossfire Sierra Squad also was announced. This is another Crossfire game, the previous one being actually, I think it was shut down by Xbox because no one was playing it. But it's coming from the South Korean devs Smilegate, and it's going to be leaping its way onto PSVR 2. It looks like a VR spin on a realistic tactical shooter. No release date was given. Next up was Smash, another another VR game where you run around shooting people. Again, it looks fun. Like it looks like you trying to jump into the mind of somebody who's killed somebody or has a bomb, and you have to find his mind and go into his crazy recesses of his mind. I mean, it looks fun. Don't know what it is, but hey, it's releasing on July 4th this year. Beat Saber is coming to the PSVR 2 as well as PS5, finally, and it's going to allow you to, of course, beat notes virtually with the saber. It's also going to have a Queen-themed music pack when it does come out, and it's out right now. Bungie then decided to take the spot of PlayStation, and it announced Marathon, a brand new Marathon game. Now, I have no idea what the hell is happening. I have no idea what it is. It looks cool, but Marathon was actually a game franchise that Bungie did all the while back during the 1990s. They released 3 titles in the 1990s. Before, of course, they created Halo and would do Destiny amongst other things. So I can't really say what this is, but what they have said is going to be the studio's first new project in over a decade. It'll be coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC with crossplay and cross-save. Let's go. Now, this is what they say it is, but it's a sci-fi PvP extraction shooter. Marathon will find players engaging one another as cybernetic mercenaries known as runners, exploring a lost colony on the planet of Tau Ceti 4. Why don't you just make it like a really nice planet name? In search of riches, fame, and infamy. So yeah, we're pretty excited about this. I don't know what this is. It looks cool, but yeah. Next up, Destiny showed up again, and it's going to be showing off its final Destiny 2, the final shape, which seems to be the last and the big expansion for Destiny 2. I don't know what this one is about, but Cade 6 is back. I think he died. I don't really play Destiny. Next up was Concord, and it seemed to be another Bungie thing, as this is being developed by Firewalk Studios, which does have like former Bungie developers in its studio, but it has no connection, of course. Not really much was shown. A short little trailer showing off just a short bunch of things, but it'll be coming out in 2024 on PS5 and PC. Firewalk Studios was recently acquired by Sony, and this is what they have said on the PlayStation blog. Concord is a bringing together of peoples. It's the power of games to build connection and inspire social play. So I don't know what that means. The Firewalk team is driven by the type of exciting and unexpected moments and shared experiences that multiplayer games create. Every time you log on in the beginning of a new adventure, and every match is an opportunity for a new story. It's these ideals that define Concord. It's a unique universe of vibrant worlds and its rich cast of colorful characters. There's so much more we can't wait to share with you as we look forward to releasing it ahead of its launch next year. Yeah, I can't really tell you anything about it. Looks like some multiplayer game, which I'm on the fence by. Next up, Sony actually had some hardware to announce. So first off was Project Q. Now, again, there's a lot of wars going on with Steam Deck, and during its event, they showed off this Project Q. It's a handheld gaming device that is basically built around streaming PlayStation games via your console and using remote play. So basically, it's called Project Q, a dedicated device that enables you to stream anywhere, any game for your PS5 using console over remote Wi-Fi. It's going to have an 8-inch 1080p HD screen and have all the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller. Yeah, this looks great. I mean, using remote play, remote play was always really, really cool with the PS Vita. Like if you've had a Vita and you had remote play, it was always one of the best features of that thing. Like it was the best feature to work with it, as you could literally stream your games and it would work seamlessly with the Vita, and they would map buttons all over the place. So using that and making this whole like stream thing is pretty an understandable way they would go, instead of making a PS Vita 2. Just make something that works in conjunction with the PlayStation 5. Makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a good choice. And of course, they would end off the conference, the showcase, whatever they call it, with Marvel Spider-Man 2. A big set piece that they showed the original Spider-Man, and it basically showed us the stuff. We saw Kraven the Hunter, we saw Miles, we saw Peter wearing the symbiote suit. We then saw the Lizard also being confirmed in the game, and we saw them switching between the two. We saw new modes of being able to traverse with the wingsuits, which is also Spider-Man staple in some things. And yeah, it looks really, really good. Yeah, looked really, really good. And of course, it's coming out later this year fall. I cannot wait. And that is the end of the showcase. Basically, it was a mixed bag of a showcase, but I will admit, I liked how there was a big variety in the games that they did show, from indies to established titles. Now, I will say, not a lot of gameplay was shown off for these titles, meaning a lot of them could be just concepts at the moment. Sony does not put release dates on anything anymore. They just say it's coming within a year, because that's just how they operate, to give the developers the most time to make their games. But yes, I know some people are very disappointed in this showcase, but I found it pretty okay. It just shows that Sony is in this transitional year, because many of the heavy hitters that they usually promote have been released. Horizon, God of War, and Spiderman seems to be the last big hit. So yeah, it just means that next year we'll probably have a huge showcase showing off the next era of PS5. And like I said, I think this era is done. But some hardware was announced, some really cool games were shown off. So you tell me down below, What did you think of this showcase? What did you like? What did you hate? Please, I would literally love to know, and of course share and subscribe.